All right, let's continue on. This time, if you want to bring your own truck from your older scene, that's pretty simple. You can go to the old scene, select your truck, and don't forget the tires. Let me just select the object, and I'm just gonna combine everything so it's a little easier. So you can click on the shortcut up here and go into Mesh Combine on the menu here. And now you can export this, export selection. You can put it on the default scenes in the Maya documents. We'll call it My Truck. And it's fine if the format is a Maya MB. If you were sending to another program, you would use FBX. But because I'm sending to Maya, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to put it on as a Maya file. So export selection. Now I come back to my scene with the environment, and I go File, Import, and bring my truck in it. There it is. Whoa, it's huge. So now I can scale it. You know, you can color it as you go. It's pretty big. All right, so we'll call that good. Maybe it's too little. Okay, so if we go in order of size now, probably the roof or the gas station would be the next thing here. These are pretty simple shapes, but you know, I'm just going to show you just so you can do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is the gas station, the store. I'm going to click on a cube. It's going to show up here, move it back, hit R to scale. Oh, let me turn on Karnak so you can see what I'm hitting. There we go. So I'm going to scale it bigger. Somewhat like this. And yeah, maybe move it back in space a bit so it matches the older one. So that's probably good right there. And then the roof is pretty simple. You probably figured out how to do it already. You select the top face, do extrude, Control E, and click on any of the cubes of the extrude tool. That will show you the middle of the scale tool, which is that light blue cube, and you drag on that one. We are insetting. If you hit Control E again, you can inset down, and there's the roof, the little wall on the roof. Now we can cut where the windows are going to be, so it makes our life a little bit easier. So with the knife, which the shortcut is Control Shift X, I'm going to cut a few places here. So 2 spaces for the windows. That's probably good right there. I can cut them from here. And we'll make the space here for the outside of the window. Right there and right there. I guess I wasn't very even here. I should have done it with middle mouse click, which, you know, cuts everything in half, but I forgot and I don't want to undo now. But yeah, so this is probably good. So we're going to do the windows first. Control E and extrude in. And this, I guess we can inset first. Control E, click on one of the cubes. The middle one shows up. You inset, Control E, and you go in. Now the colors here are pretty simple. I just selected separate faces. So I just went like this, like face, hold Shift and double click on the face right next to it. It goes all the way around. Assign a new material, say Lambert, store green, and then pick the color here, which I'm gonna just steal from the older store and darken. Same for the white. I guess I can hold Shift and double click and then just deselect the windows. And the door too, I guess. The door shouldn't be green at the bottom, but I already done it. I'll change it here in a minute. But we'll just do a white. So right click, assign new material, Lambert, store white. There it is. Same thing, pick the color here. Oops. Jumping the gun here. There we go. And just assign it to it. I did another cut here, but I'm not gonna fuzz, so I can get this done quickly. And just assign the existing store green. Where did it go? Store green. There it is. So the sign is pretty simple. It's just another plane, and rather than just like we did with the lines, rather than making a cube, shaping it and scaling it to where it needs to be, it is a lot easier to just copy these faces here. So select this one, and this one, and instead of extruding or anything like that, I just duplicate the face, not the whole cube. So I'm going edit mesh, duplicate. Now that face, those faces are duplicate, and if you move them a little bit, you'll see them. It's a separate object. So click outside of it to deselect everything and go into object mode. And you can select this and extrude it, the whole thing actually. There's our sign. Select the object and scale it, make it a little crooked maybe, so it doesn't look so perfect, So this is what I wanted to talk to you about. I don't want your object to be too perfect. That is the dead giveaway. That's a 3D object. Oh, you know what? Let's change this color here. You can select some faces and grow your selection. If you hit Shift and the period, if you look at the period, it has the more than symbol. So it means more than this selection. So if you hit it once, it'll grow that selection. If you hit it twice, it'll keep growing it as long as you want, So I want to put the white material on this edge, and I'm going to deselect this part actually. I just want it to stay gray. And you just control click to deselect. And I'm going to assign the existing material store white. Oops. Store white, there it is. And I need to change also my windows and my door to a glass material. So with the glass material here, you could, the regular Maya materials have glass or transparency to them, but the one that works best with Arnold is the Arnold materials, and adding a preset that's glass. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to right click and assign a new material and say new material. And this time, instead of using the Maya default materials, I'm going to pick Arnold on the left side, the left window. And from then, I'm going to select AI standard surface. You'll see it turn gray. And then if you look on the right, there's the AI standard surface. We're going to call it store glass. And if you click on presets, there is a glass material in here. So glass, and I'm just going to say replace. So it won't look like much now. It'll look like nothing happened actually. But when you render, that's gonna look see-through. And you probably have to have inside of it and stuff inside the store to see what's going on inside. Maybe a couple lights. So as I was saying, things look too perfect when you model in 3D, so you have to make them imperfect by hand. So if you look at the cube here, let me just hit the default shader here. So you can see all the corners are perfectly 90 degrees, which doesn't happen in real life. So you can, by hand, make them imperfect. And I want you to do this so your object looks a little more realistic. And if your scene is kind of cartoony, this is going to help it quite a bit, When you see cartoons, the buildings are typically For some reason, they always look like they're smaller at the bottom like this. You know, they kind of curve up. You can't do that. You don't have to be that exaggerated, but I do want you to add imperfections. You can also add a bevel to the edges. So let's select the object. And if you see up here, there's this symbol is for bevel. Hopefully you can see it. I'm going to zoom in so you can. Yeah, that's for bevels. Okay. You can also find it under mesh, edit mesh, I think. Edit mesh bevel right there. Shortcuts Control B. So if you add the bevel, you're going to see this. Or maybe your bevel will be too big. You have to control it with the fraction here. But the bevel will help the corners to not be so sharp. I mean, nothing is really sharp. If you look that sharp, if you look around you, like your desk, the corner of the desk is not 90 degrees exactly. It's not that sharp. It would cut you when you put your arms on it, if it was. And at the same time, you can add. So let me hit Q to get out of bevel. You can add a bevel to just one edge. So let's say I just want to make this one edge. So I double click on it. This one edge bevel. And it will look like this, you know, and you can add segment to it if you want. But the idea is that you want to make your objects imperfect, make them look more natural. So you could add divisions also to it. Let's say edit mesh and add division. And see it divided everything. So now I have more points to work with. And I can actually add even more divisions on this little window. So if I move it once, there's a bunch more divisions. Now I have more points here to make it look imperfect, you know. I can, you know, start moving stuff around. Or just go to sculpting. And, well, the brush is huge. So hold down B and make it smaller. You know, and make some things stick out. Ooh, too strong. Make the brush smaller, and M is the strength. So holding down M and dragging, you know, I can make the building a little imperfect here. So it's not so darn perfect, not so 3D looking, right? And remember, if you hold, let me just make the brush bigger here. If you hold Control, the brush reverses. So instead of going out, it goes in. So now I'm pushing stuff in instead of out, you know, and it's just making things less than perfect, which is what we want, you know. Immediately, if I hit Q and I get out of it, and I'm gonna get my colors back, you know, immediately it looks a little more human, you know, more human made. Somebody wasn't having a good day at work. It kind of made some imperfections, or with wear and tear, you know, things get imperfect. But the idea is that you make everything like that, except it's something that's, I guess a car can be perfect, but still with a little imperfection here and there, it looks like it has more personality, right? So to add the letters to the sign, we're just going to go into the create menu, and right here you see type, and these huge letters are going to show up. And on the right side, you see the attribute editor open, and this says 3D type in here, which is what this says. So we can change it here to eat at Joe's, you know, like in the Roadrunner. And you can pick your font from up here. So whatever font you choose, you know, something like that, then it's good. Close this. Scale it down. The nice thing is it has the pivot point on one side, so I can kind of position it at the beginning of the sign here. Hit F to frame the camera. And then just scale down. This really good enough. That's good enough. So we'll assign a material, assign new material, and I'm just gonna go back to Maya here, and maybe this is plastic, so I'm gonna assign a blend, and I'm going to call it plastic sign. Give it a dark green color. Yeah, let's give it maybe a dark red, either. Maybe less saturated. Something like that. Maybe green will look better. Kind of like on the other scene. Okay, so we'll call that good. Now you're probably wondering about the rocks. The rocks are pretty simple. They are just, if you go to the create menu, you see the second option is polygon primitives, and that's all the shapes we've been using. You can use the other shapes, but eventually you have to convert them to polygons. So we're sticking to polygons right now. The rocks are just basically platonic solid shapes. So if I click on it, there's the platonic shape, and it already kind of looks like a rock. All I did was, scale it down a bit and maybe move some points around randomly. This is one of the few occasions where the middle part of the move tool is helpful because it moves in all directions. So there's the rock, there's one of them, and then after assigning the material, so I'm gonna right click and say assign new material, Maya, and a Lambert, because rocks are usually not polished unless they're from a river. Click on color here, select it from the all scene. I had to go back to object mode. Oh, I lost my Lambert here. So if you ever lost your material, there's a list of materials in here with the Hypershade, this little tiny sphere with the white dot, or you can go Windows, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. So it has the same symbol. This has a list of all the materials you've made, and I can't remember if I named the rock material here. Rock, I think that's it right there. So you can select it from here, and if you middle mouse, hold on it and drag it over, it'll add the material to your object. Or you can right click on it and say assign material to selection if you have it selected. Right. So there's my first rock. And then all I have to do now is just duplicate it, Control D, move it, make it smaller, distort it a bit, rotate it so nobody can tell us the same thing. Weird angles, and that's all I did with it. I just duplicated the rock, rotated it, moved it around. There it is. I wasn't even touching the ground there. But you can keep doing this, keep scaling and switching it around, giving it variety, and that's how I added rocks all over the place. This big rock is just the same. I just grabbed one place and extruded it. So I just let's say I duplicate this and move it. Maybe make it bigger. Rotate it so nobody can tell us the same thing. Maybe add a division here. So if I go to edit mesh, add division. And if you notice yourself using certain parts of the menu a lot, let's say we go back to polymodeling here, you can control click on the menu and it will show you a shortcut here. And I've added a bunch of stuff here, so I don't have any space. But if I go edit mesh and then control shift, I think it is, and click on it. Is that it? No, it is control. Let's see, did it add it? Yeah, it's control shift. You click it and it'll add a new shortcut for it. So you don't have to be looking in menus. So I have the rock selected. Now I have my shortcut here. added a division. See, it's just like this. It has a division on it. And then I just grabbed some random faces at the bottom. Let me hit F to frame the camera. And the ground here. I just selected some faces down here, like maybe this one's. And I just extrude it down. Control E. And sometimes the move on the extrude will do weird angles like this. You can switch over with the faces selected. You can switch over to the regular move, and that will be aligned to the world. So, oh, I had two faces selected here. That's okay. So I just went down like this, scale a bit, and extrude again. Go down, you know, scale a bit again, and so on. I just kept going down here. Say this is good. And I did the same thing that I did with the arch here to change some ring colors. You know, just cut it with the knife. So grab the knife here and cut across like this, you know. You have a new loop here, you can color it differently. So I can select it by, so remember, to add a loop, you hold control with the knife selected. So select the knife, control, and you get a loop around your object. And then to select a loop that faces, you select the first face, shift double click on the next one, and it should go all the way around. Now you can assign a material that you already have. I know I have rock, or is it arch color 2, you know. Now that's changed color. I'm gonna hit 5 to see my change. I just added more colors in here. This, you can probably guess what it is. It's just a cylinder with different colors. The little barriers here, so you don't crash into the store. So, these other things, you probably can guess how I did them. So it's just a cube extruded and distorted so it doesn't look so even. The floor here, you probably are wondering how I did this curve. This little island here on the to hold the gas machines. So I just clicked on a cylinder actually, and you know, cylinders, you can use them for a lot of things. In this case, I just selected some vertex here, so let's look at it from the top. Whoa, that took me out of the scene here. So I'm going to select this and move them out like this. And the other side, same thing, move them out. And then I just deleted these points, I think. So you have to hit Control Delete for the points to be gone. Now, yeah, what the heck? It doesn't want to do it. Maybe I had to get rid of the edge instead. So I'm gonna select the edge by double clicking on it, Control Delete. There we go. There it is. So now I have the little island. You just scale it down, you know, to size. A little big still. When you try to extrude the curve for it, you won't be able to because none of this is four-sided polygons, so it won't let you select. But you could trick it by selecting the edge instead. So select a face here, hold Shift, double click. It will select the loop, and you can extrude the loop instead. So Control E, and it will look weird a little at first, but we can go like this. And then I don't know why it went black, but usually it's when the faces get reversed. That's what happens. Let me try this again. I don't know what happened. So sometimes when you get the faces on the back are black. So if you go on the modeling menu up here where it says mesh displays and reverse, sometimes that fixes it, sometimes it doesn't. Let me see if I have more than one face in here. Sometimes, no, it's just one face. Yeah, and I can see the gray faces inside. So I don't know why it's not reversing them. Oh, there we go. It reversed it this time. Okay, so for some reason, when I extruded the edge, it got scared and flipped all the faces on me. So I'm gonna try it again. Select the first face, go around, Control E one time. And then instead of using, see how weirdly is aligned here? Instead of using the extrude tool to move it, I'm going to hit R so it does it from the middle. Extrude from the middle like this, be adjusted. Then select this loop and extrude up. There's my curve. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay, so as you can see, I'm skipping adding materials, but you should be doing it as you go. I'm just showing you so you can be done and get to work instead of watching this video. Oh, this piece of dirt here, how did I make it? That is with the draw polygon tool. So if I go up here and mesh tools, there's a create polygon. But this works from the top, so you have to look at it from the top or one of the orthographic views. You've probably run into this problem that you're hitting spacebar to see the front or side view of something. If you hit the spacebar, you'll get the orthographic views. Here's the top, here's the front, here's the side. Sometimes you accidentally change the perspective view to one of the other ones. That's really easy to fix. You go up here and panels, and you say, hey, I want my perspective back. Bring me my perspective back. Or if you're an orthographic view, let's say, this is usually what happens to my students, like, hey, I can't navigate anymore. Can't tumble the scene. That's because the view got changed here from perspective to something else. So let's go to panels and say, I want to go back to perspective. Now we're back in perspective. And I forgot why I was doing that. Oh, to show you the add polygon, the create polygon tool. So it's pretty handy. That's how I did the dirt here and these flowers. You know, I just drew one flower and duplicated it all around. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So you go into mesh tools and create polygon. So with the create polygon, you have to be looking at it from the top. And then you click, let's say I'm going to draw that piece of dirt. You just click around and you have to go around and close the shape. Let's say this is the shape. You can hit enter. There's my shape, you know, of dirt. I guess we could add divisions. Let's see if Maya can do it. And it has so many shortcuts here that mine is in a second line. Give me this. I don't know if I like it. I much rather cut it by hand, I guess. So joining points like this. Licking and cutting. Something like that. And maybe now add a division. Let's see what happens now. Can't do it because I have n-gons. Let's see. Oh, I did do it. Okay, so there's my dirt. You know, so now you have points to move around to sculpt on. I guess you could extrude it, you know, so you have some thickness to the dirt. It's not just a flat plane. Or you can leave it a plane. But this is how I made the flowers. I just, you know, I just draw like a sun shape. And, you know, see. Oh, your pivot point is going to be way off, like way over here on the center of the grid. So again, just go up here and click on the center pivot button. And then you can move your dirt around. Put it where you want it. The cactus is just a sphere, actually. So these are spheres, sphere, sphere. The way I did them is I just grabbed a sphere up here. So there's my sphere. Let's hit F to frame the camera. I went into edge mode and select every other edge like this. All the way around. There it is. And then I hit R to scale. And I don't want to scale up and down yet. I just want to scale on the X and Y. So I grab this plane to scale on 2 axes. I went like this. So that's the main shape. Then I went into object mode, then scaled up, and assign a green material and duplicate and rotate, that kind of thing. Angle a little bit so it's not so straight, just add some variety. And you can group them, you can duplicate a couple of them, change them a bit. And you can combine them and then duplicate those two, So we'll combine them up here with the shortcut. And then if you duplicate, you have a group already that I can duplicate and rotate and create more variety here, maybe scale it a bit so it doesn't look the same. You can get creative, but that's how I did most of the cactus. I'm going to show you one more thing, and I'm going to leave it here because I'm pretty sure you can guess how I did the rest of it. Should be not difficult to you. I'm going to show you how to make cables or cords if you want to do them for your own scene. If you hit spacebar, like I said, you see the orthographic views that don't have any perspective to them. So I'm going to mouse over the front view here, where I see the lampposts or the power lines here, and I'm going to create a cable here. So I'm going to go into. Right now, we've been modeling with poly modeling. We're going to do curves. So curves is another way to create mesh, but you eventually have to convert them to polygons. So I'm going to create on Bezier curve. You probably have used them before from Photoshop or Illustrator. The way they work is if you click and click, you make a straight line. And I can hit backspace to delete my points. Or if you click and then drag, you create a curve. And where you're dragging is the apex of the curve. So where's the most curved, right? So you can do something like this. So what I'm going to do is make the power lines here. So I'm going to click in here, then make a little curve here. Oh, whoops. Something happened. I lost my curve here. So click, then drag, then click again. And then click and drag and click again. And that's not perfect, but for the sake of length of time, I'm going to hit enter to complete it. And the trick here is that this line is always going to be on the 0 on the grid. So you think I made it by the power poles here, but if I look at my scene, it's like way back here. That's because it's putting it on the 0 axis of the grid. So this is the 0 axis of the grid. If you turn it on, you would see it, but it's inside my scene here. I don't want to. Well, I'll show you there. Well, you can't even see it. So just turn it off. But this is the 0 of the front view. So I'm going to move my curve, and you see the pivot points off. So let's do modify center pivot and just move it over to our holes here. So once you have it in position, you can select the curve and go create and say sweep mesh. And when you click sweep mesh, I'm just going to put a curve on the, that's some big power lines. That's a lot of copper. You can put a mesh on that line, on the edge or curve, sorry. So there's different profiles here. I'm just going to leave it as the one it is. But what we need is the scale to be a lot smaller, a heck of a lot smaller. And also the other thing we need is interpolation here. So it had more sections to it. There we go, something like this. The nice thing about this is that you can, oh, still pretty thick. Oops, too thick. Let's say right there. The nice thing about this is you can still, if you can see it, hit 4. You can still modify the curve after the fact. So I can kind of see it right there inside. There it is. If you right click on it and say control vertex, you see it's giving me the vertex here, so I can move them. And you can modify, if I hit 5, you can still modify the power line. See, you can still move it. So this is pretty useful for cables and cords and rope and things like that, which will be helpful for your scene when you're modeling your scene. Okay, and this would be, you know, you have your object here. See if I have the cable, or there's the cable. So I can duplicate it, Control D, and just move it over. Ta-da, there's my power lines, right? So I'm gonna leave it here. The rest of it, if you have problems, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. If you have questions how I did anything, I think I explained everything except the lights here. That's basically a cone that I scaled the top and then extrude it going in a curve like this. But if you have any problems or questions, let me know.